Hi, in this video we will read about fluid management in a neonate. Maintenance of fluid and the electrolyte balance is an integral aspect of neonatal care. Breast milk is sufficient to maintain the fluid balance in most clinically stable newborns in the SNCU who can be fed orally. However, sick newborns require IV fluids and electrolytes for sustenance. The goal of early fluid management is to allow normal weight loss while ensuring physiological stability. So, what are the learning objectives? After completion of this module, the participants should be able to identify the baby who needs the IV fluids. Not all the admitted baby needs IV fluids. Calculate the daily fluid and the electrolyte requirement. Administer the IV fluids with the micro drip set and infusion drip set or the syringe pump. Monitor the babies receiving the IV fluids and adjust the IV fluids and the enteral feeds. So let's start. What are the indications of IV fluid therapy? Any sick baby not tolerating the enteral feeds, any baby in shock, severe perinatal asphyxia, abdominal distension, suspected congenital GI anomalies or the necrotizing colitis. Fine. So these are the four indications of the IV fluid therapy. Any sick baby not tolerating the enteral feeds, any shock, severe perinatal asphyxia, which we will read about in the chapter 9, and abdominal distension, suspected congenital anomalies, and the necrotizing enterocolitis. Now, what is the choice of fluids? So, electrolyte free fluids such as the 10% dextrose are used in the first 48 hours. Okay, because it is what? Electrolyte free fluid. Sodium supplementation is not required in the first 48 hours unless intravascular expansion is necessary, as in shock. Okay, so sodium supplementation because is not required in the first 48 hours unless there is an intravascular expansion is needed, as in shock. Okay, after 48 hours, if the baby is passing urine 6 to 8 times a day, use commercially available IV fluids such as the Isolite P. Okay, after 48 hours, if the baby is passing urine what 6 to 8 times a day, then we have to use the Isolite P. Okay, so this was the choice of fluid. We read about the indications of the IV fluid therapy. We read about the choice of fluids. That is, in the first 48 hours, it is 10% dextrose, and if the baby is passing urine 6 to 8 times a day, then in the after 48 hours, Isolite P. Now, coming to the administration of the IV fluid. Using a micro drip set or the syringe pump to deliver the measured volume of fluid. In a micro drip set, that is the Pedia drip set, 1 ml is equal to 60 microdrops. In this device, number of drops per minute is equal to ml of the fluid per hour. Example, if a baby needs 6 ml per hour, provide 6 microdrops per minute. Adjust the drop rate carefully and check it periodically to ensure the delivery of correct amount of fluid. Okay, so we understood that if the baby needs 6 ml per hour, provide 6 microdrops per minute. Fine. Moving ahead. Syringe pump is more reliable way to deliver the small volume of the fluids and medications in the sick babies. In this device, pressure monitoring line PMO is connected to a syringe containing fluid, which is then connected to the IV cannula. Fill the PMO line with the infusate to ensure rapid delivery of the medication to the baby. Use aseptic precautions, including the sterile gloves, while filling the syringe pump or a micro drip set with the fluid or giving IV medication. Calculate the fluid requirements for 24 hours. The burette of the microdrip set should contain fluid for no more than 8 hours and should be refilled in every nursing shift. Maintain strict input and output chart and review it every 8 hours. Include the volume of medications in the IV flushes in the total fluid calculations. Secure the IV cannula properly with a skin friendly adhesive tape. Generally, there is no need to splint the extremity. Before infusing the IV fluid, check the expiry date of the fluid, the seal of the infusion bottle or the bag for its intactness and the fluid is clear and free from any visible particles. Change the syringe or the PMO line and the microdrip set and fluid bag every 24 hours to avoid contamination in the nosocomial infection and discard any unused fluid. Volume of the IV fluids to be given are discussed in this table that we will read. Volume of the IV fluids depend on the birth weight, gestational age, and the postnatal age. Fluid needs of the preterm newborns are more as compared with the term babies due to the higher insensible losses. So this is the fluid requirement of the neonate per ml per kg body weight per day. On the first day of life, it is in more than 1500 gram baby, it is 60 ml per kg per day. And in the second day of life, it is 80 ml per kg. Now again in the first day, second day of life, it is 75. We are reading it for this one weight only, and you can read about that later. And the third day of life, it is 90. Started with 60, then increment of 15, 75, again increment of 15, 90. So like this, in each day we just have to add 15 into the next day volume. Okay, starting with 60. And here also, that is if the birth weight is less than 1500 gram, also we have to start with 80 and add 15 to the next one. Okay, and yeah, here, but we don't have to exceed above 150. Okay, so if the birth weight is more than 1500, we have to give 60 ml of the fluid, and if the birth weight is less than 1500, we have to give 80 ml of the fluid and keep on adding the 15 in the subsequent days of life. Okay, moving ahead. Estimation of the energy requirement of the low birth weight infant. This is not very important. Let's look at this example. Calculation of IV fluid for a 4-day-old neonate with a birth weight of 1.2 kg. Total fluid requirement on the day 4 of the life as per the table is 125 ml per kg from that table on the day 4, and the low birth weight is 125 ml per kg because birth weight is see 1.2 kg, it is less than 1.5 kg, right? So it is 125 ml per kg per day. We have to multiply it by 1.2. This comes out to be 150 ml per day. So 150 ml in 24 hours, so divided by 6.2 ml per hour. Fill 50 ml for 8 hours at a time. Fluid order. How are we supposed to write the fluid order? IV fluid as isolite P, 150 ml in 24 hours at the rate of 6.2 ml per hour with a syringe pump or a 6 microdrops per minute with a microdrip set. Give this fluid with a microdrip set at the rate of 6 microdrops or with a syringe pump at the rate of 6.2 ml per hour. Fine. Moving ahead to the monitoring of babies receiving the IV fluids. So, what are we supposed to monitor in babies who are receiving IV fluids? Firstly, we have to inspect the infusion site every hour. Look for the redness and swelling around the insertion site of the cannula, which indicates the cannula is not in the vein and the fluid is leaking into the subcutaneous tissues. If the redness or swelling is seen at the time, stop the infusion, remove the cannula, and establish a new IV line in a different vein. Okay, so we have to inspect the infusion site every hour. Second thing, check the volume of the fluid infused and compare to the prescribed volume. Record all the findings every 2 hours in the fluid monitoring chart. Fine, so we have to check the fluid volume that is being infused and we have to record all the findings every 2 hourly. Now we have to measure the blood glucose every nursing shift, that is 8 hourly. Blood glucose should be done 8 hourly. If the blood glucose is less than 45 milligram per deciliter, treat for the low blood glucose. If the blood glucose is more than 150 milligram per deciliter, on two readings 1 hour apart, reduce the GIR and check the blood glucose after 30 minutes. Now starting with the daily monitoring. Weight of the baby need to be taken daily, preferably using an electronic weighing machine, weighing scale in the morning. Urine output can be roughly estimated by counting the frequency of passage of urine, or the more accurately by weighing the wet nappies on the electronic weighing scale or using the Eurobag. Oliguria is defined as urine output of less than 1 ml per kg per hour over 6-hour period beyond 48 hours of the age. And we have to check for the signs of overhydration, puffiness of the eyelids, excessive weight gain, and respiratory distress. Fine. So these are the things that we have to do in daily monitoring. We have to take the weight of the baby. We have to check for urine output, and oliguria is defined at less than 1 ml per kg per hour over a 6-hour period beyond 48 hours, and signs of overhydration, puffiness of the eyelids, excessive weight gain, and respiratory distress. Or and what else we need to monitor in daily monitoring? Fourth one is use the birth weight for all calculation. Fluids in drug as long as the baby's postnatal weight remains below the birth weight. Once the birth weight is regained, use the actual body weight for the weight based calculation. Okay. We know that after birth, the weight of the baby decrease to about 7 to 10% from the actual birth weight and regains within 7 to 10 days. So until then we have to use baby's birth weight for all the calculation, for all the fluids and the drugs, as long as the baby's postnatal weight is less than the birth weight. Okay, this is a very important point to remember. And once the baby's birth weight is regained, then use the actual body weight for the weight based calculations. Next thing is, if the daily weight loss is more than 5%, increase the total volume of the fluid by 10 ml per kg body weight for 1 day and then reassess. Okay. This is also important to remember that if the daily weight loss is more than 5%, then we have to increase the total volume of the fluid by 10 ml per kg body weight for 1 day by 10 ml per kg. Okay. And then reassess. If there is no weight loss, or there is weight gain in the initial 3 days of the life, do not give the daily increment. Keep the fluid rate same as the previous day. However, if there is excessive weight gain, 3 to 5%, decrease the fluid intake by 15 to 20 ml per kg. Fine. So, excessive weight loss is also a problematic thing, and excessive weight gain. Excessive weight gain of 3 to 5%, decrease the fluid rate by 15 to 20 ml per kg. So, excessive weight gain is also a problem. And then we have to decrease the fluid intake by 15 to 20 ml per kg per day. Then, if there is oliguria and weight loss, increase the daily fluid by 10 to 20 ml per kg. When if there is oliguria and weight loss, then we have to increase the daily fluid intake. However, if there is oliguria with weight gain, decrease the daily fluid by 10 ml per kg and evaluate the renal function. This is also a different thing. Here, there was oliguria and weight loss, which is understandable, right? Because the daily fluid intake is low, so there is oliguria and there is weight loss. But if there is oliguria along with weight gain, then we have to decrease the fluid volume by 10 ml per kg and evaluate for the renal function. In case of acute kidney injury, replace the insensible losses 25 ml per kg in the term babies and 50 ml per kg in the preterm babies. In case of what? Acute kidney injury, we have to replace the insensible losses. As electrolyte free 10% dextrose solution in the urine output as half normal saline. We have to replace the insensible losses as what? As electrolyte free 10% dextrose solution and the urine output as half normal saline. During the fluid restriction, glucose infusion rates should not be below 4 mg per kg per minute to avoid hypoglycemia. So if there is fluid restriction, no, and then we have to set the glucose infusion rate to not be below this. This may necessitate giving higher dextrose concentration. Okay. Moving ahead to the seventh point. In the intestinal obstruction, gastric aspirate is replaced by half normal saline and a bilious aspirate by ringer lactate or NS on volume basis every 8 hourly. So if there is any intestinal obstruction, gastric aspirate is replaced by half normal saline. Okay. Gastric aspirate is what? Replaced by half normal saline and the bilious aspirate by ringer lactate or NS on every 8 hour basis. So let's understand this line. Why do we need to replace this gastric aspirate? See, in case of any intestinal obstruction, fluid accumulates in the stomach, right? Fluid accumulates here. Uh, the NG tube is used to continuously drain this fluid to relieve the distension and prevent the vomiting. However, the fluid removed contains water and electrolytes. Right, the fluid that we remove to relieve the distension and vomiting, it contains water and electrolytes. So if we don't replace it, the patient becomes dehydrated and develops electrolyte imbalance. And because the gastric fluid is rich in hydrogen ions, chloride, sodium in the water, so that's why we replace it by half NS, that is 0.45% NS. But the bilious aspirate is replaced by RL or NS. Why? Because bile contains large amount of the sodium bicarbonate, potassium, and things like that. So because of this, it is better to replace with the RL or NS because these fluids more closely match the electrolyte composition of the intestinal losses. And when can there be a bilious aspirate? Bilious aspirate indicates that the tube is draining beyond the stomach. That is, the obstruction is distal to the pylorus. Fine. So if suppose we after 8 hour over right after 8 hours we do the gastric aspirate, and we found that on the gastric aspirate 120 ml of the fluid was aspirated, so we have to give 120 ml of this half NS. Fine. And if bilious aspirate is found over 8 hours, suppose 200 ml, then we have to give 200 ml of the RL or NS. Okay. Moving ahead, fluids for dehydration. Serial recording of the weight is the most reliable way to assess the severity of the dehydration. Physical signs of dehydration are less reliable in the newborns. Dehydration is corrected slowly over 24 hours in the newborn. The fluid used for the deficit correction is N by 2 saline. Okay. The fluid that is used for deficit correction is half saline. Half of the deficit is corrected over 8 hours and the remaining half over 16 hours. This is an addition to maintenance needs needs plus going on ongoing losses. Okay. Now coming to the ninth point. If there is severe dehydration secondary to diarrhea, it should be corrected as per the plan C of the National IMNCI guidelines. Now the last one, potassium of 2 milliequivalents per day is added to the IV fluids after urine flow is established. 1 ml of the IV KCl solution contains 2 milliequivalents of the potassium. So add 1 ml of the KCl to 100 ml of the IV fluid. Okay. Sample table for the fluid intake instructions and monitoring. So date is this, name is a baby of Meena, weight is this, and it's day 3 of life. Weight is less than 1500, so at day 3 of life we start from 80, then add 15, it comes out to be 95, then add 15, it comes out to be 110, that is 110. So total fluid requirement at day 3 of life is 110 ml per kg. Total volume that needs to be given is 110 into 1.310, that is 144 ml. And at day 3 of the life we give isolite P, so that's why, and 144 ml divided by 20, 144 ml divided by 24 comes out to be 6 ml per hour of the fluid we need to give. Okay. This is how the chart should be maintained by the nursing staff. Total fluid given Total fluid is this fluid infused and fluid remaining. At 8 a.m. We started. Total fluid is 48 ml that we need to be give. Fluid infused at 9 a.m. is 6 ml and fluid remaining is 42 ml, like that. Now adjusting the IV fluid with the enteral feed. How are we going to do this? Initiation of the oral feeding. As soon as the baby's clinical condition improves, begin breastfeeding provided there is no abdominal distension. If the baby cannot breastfeed, give the express breast milk using a cup feeding or a tube feeding. Second point is if the baby is tolerating cup or the tube feeds, increase the volume of the feeds by 20 to 40 ml per kg per day and lower range for very low birth weight baby. We have to use this lower range that is 20. So if the baby is tolerating this cup or the tube feeds, we have to increase the feeds by 20 to 40 ml per kg per day. Okay. While decreasing the IV fluid volume to maintain the total fluid volume according to the baby's daily requirement. Total fluid requirement we saw, right? Total fluid in that table, and subsequently we are increasing this the uh, breast milk, we are increasing this oral feed, so we have to decrease the IV fluid volume to maintain the total fluid volume according to the baby's daily requirement. Fine. Chart the total volume required as per day as the table 6.1 and subtract the daily volume of the feeds and give the remaining as IV fluids. Okay. Now discontinue the infusion of IV fluid when the baby is receiving 100 ml per kg per day or about two-thirds of the daily fluid as oral feeds and has no abdominal distension or vomiting. So this is very important to remember that when we have to discontinue the IV fluid, when we have to do that when the baby is receiving 100 ml per kg per day of or about two-thirds of the daily fluid volume as oral feeds and there is no abdominal distension or vomiting, then we have to discontinue the IV fluids. Now let's do some examples. Conventional enteral feeding. Birth weight is 1200 grams, gestational uh, age is 31 weeks, and hemodynamically stable on CPAP, oxygen by nasal prongs. So, total fluid requirement comes out to be on day one of life. It comes out for on as the weight is less than 1500 grams on day one, we give 50 into weight is 1.2. This comes out to be 96 ml per kg. This 96 ml per day, sorry, 96 ml per day is the fluid that we have to give to the baby. Now the total feeds, and this is what total feeds is 30 ml per kg per day, that is 36 ml. 30 into 1.2, this comes out to be 36 ml per day. This is the total volume that we need to give, and this is the fluid that we are giving via the enteral feeds. So 36 ml per day, that is divided by 12, then this comes out to be 33 ml every 2 hourly. That's why we did divided by 12, because total we have to calculate the fluid every 2 hourly. So feeds need to be given at 2 3 ml every 2 hourly. Okay. Now the total fluid requirement minus total feed volume is equal to the IV fluids that need to be provided. 96 ml was the total fluid requirement minus 36 that we are giving via the enteral feeds. That is either the express breast milk, that could be fine, and this comes out to be 60 ml. So 60 ml is the total fluid requirement. Provide this as 10% dextrose. 60 ml is the total fluid requirement, right? And we have to give it every 8 hourly. So divided by 3, this comes out to be 20 ml over 8 hours. Okay, so 10% dextrose need to be given 20 ml over 8 hourly, and if we are giving 20 ml over 8 hourly, this comes out to be 2.5 ml per hour. Okay, So this is the fluid requirement of a baby weighing 1.2 kg at the day 1 of life. Total fluid requirement we calculated, then we subtracted the enteral fee that was given, this which comes out to be 3 ml every 2 hourly, and from the total feed and the enteral feed we subtracted, this comes out our IV fluid that we need to give, and this is over 8 hourly is 2.5 ml per hour. This was a simple calculation. Now let's do the second one. At the day 2, what will be done of this baby only? Fine, weight was 1.2 kg, and at day 2, we have to add 80 plus 15. This comes out to be 95, and 95 into 1.2 is what? 114 ml per day. This is the total fluid requirement of the day 2. Now, uh, we can give at the second day, total feeds is 60 ml per kg. This comes out to be 60 into point 60 into 1.2. This is 72. So 72 is why the enteral feeds. Fine. Now the total IV fluid that we need to give is we have to subtract it from the total volume. This comes out to be 42 ml of the IV fluids need to be given. And at the day 2 also we have to give dextrose. So this is 10% dextrose. We have to divide it by 8. This is what? This comes, or not divide by 8, we should divide it by 3, because we have to give 8 hourly, no? So that's why this comes out to be 14 ml over 8 hours, or 14 divided by 8 comes out to be 1.75 ml per hour. This is the IV fluid requirement at day 2 of life. Now let's see day 3 requirements. At day 3, we have to give total volume of 95 plus 15 is comes out to be 110, 110 ml per kg. So 110 into 1.2, this comes out to be 132 is the total fluid requirement of day 3. And on day 3, we are giving total feeds of enteral feed of 100 ml per kg. So this is 120 ml via the enteral feeds. Okay, and now if to calculate the fluid IV fluid requirement, we have to subtract the total fluid minus the enteral fluid. This comes out to be very less, only 12 ml. So now one can stop the IV fluid at this juncture as the neonate is receiving 100 ml per kg of the enteral fluid, and the baby receives IV fluid just for 48 hours of life. Fine. Now on the day 4, total fluid requirement and on the day 4 is 125 ml. Right, 110 plus 15 comes out to be 125. Into 1.2 is 150 ml per day. So total feeds is 125 ml per kg, 150 ml per day. Okay. So number of feeds into feed volume is equals to total feed volume. So we have to divide this by 12. This gives us 13 ml 12 2 every 2 hourly. This is how the oral feeds should be given. On the day 5, total fluid requirement is 140 into 1.2 is 168, and we have stopped the IV fluid. So all the daily fluid requirement need to be given by the enteral fluids. Enteral fluid is what? Um, this comes out to be, we have to give 40 ml every 2 hourly. Let's calculate this. Total fluid requirement on the day 5 is 140 per kg. So into 1.2, this is 168 ml per day. And this all needs to be given by what? By the enteral feeds. And we have to give enteral feeds every 2 hourly. So 168 divided by 12, it comes out to be 168 divided by 12 is 14. So we have to give 14 ml every 2 hourly. It's that simple. Now coming to the enteral early total enteral feeds. Bear with me, this is the last example. And this is just the end of the video at key messages. So enteral total, early total enteral feeding. Birth weight is 1.2 kg, gestation 31 weeks, hemodynamically stable on CPAP. Just the previous example we saw. So total fluid requirement we calculated by the total 80 ml per kg on day 1 of life. So this comes out to be 96 ml per day. Total feeds 80 ml per kg per day. This is so amount per feed is what? 96 divided by 12 is 8 ml. Feeds are 8 ml every 2 hourly. Provide this as expressed breast milk, donor milk, or available preterm formula. So the enteral feeds that we were talking about all along, this was what? Expressed breast milk or a donor milk or available preterm formula. So daily increments are increased. Uh, increments are as per the daily fluid requirements. That is 15 ml per kg per day, refer to the table 6.1, subject to tolerance assessed by the abdominal girth and the daily weight. What are the key messages? Use 10% dextrose in the first 48 hours of the life. After 48 hours of the life, use 5% dextrose containing sodium and potassium as maintenance fluid, that is isolite P. Isolite P has what? 5% dextrose containing sodium and potassium as the maintenance fluid. Use of the syringe pump or the micro drip infusion set facilitates the administration of small volume of the IV fluid. Serial weight recording and the urine output are useful in assessing the fluid balance in the newborns. Initiate the enteral feeding as soon as baby's hemodynamic condition stabilizes. And ETEF, that is exclusive total enteral feeding is feasible, safe, and advantageous and should be initiated in all the stable neonates. Let's revise whatever we read in this video about the fluid calculation. This was a very important chapter in neonatology, right? So, firstly, we read about the indications of the IV fluid therapy. Started with, and we have to give IV fluid in any sick baby not tolerating the enteral feeds, in any baby in shock, severe perinatal asphyxia, or abdominal distension. In case of suspected congenital GI anomalies or necrotizing enterocolitis. Now, what is the choice of fluids? Electrolyte fluid such as 10% dextrose are used in the first 48 hours and the later half. In the later, after 48 hours, isolite P is used. Administration of the IV fluid by the micro drip infusion set. If the baby needs 6 ml per hour, provide 6 micro drops per minute. Syringe pump is more reliable. Okay, we have to use we have to use all the aseptic precautions and sterile gloves and calculate the total fluid requirement over 24 hours. This was a very important table. In more than 1500 gram we have to use day one, we have to give 60 and then keep on adding 15. And if the birth weight is less than 1500 gram, we have to start by 80 ml per kg and keep on adding 15 every day. Okay, and while monitoring of the baby receiving the IV fluids, we have to inspect the infusion site every hour, check the volume of the fluid infused, and measure the blood glucose every nursing shift, that is 8 hourly. If the blood glucose is less than 45, then we have to treat for the low blood glucose. Hypoglycemia management is done. And if the blood glucose is more than 150 on two readings 1 hour apart, then we have to reduce the glucose infusion rate and check the glucose after 30 minutes. Now the daily monitoring. In daily monitoring, we have to monitor the weight of the baby, we have to monitor the urine output, and if there is oliguria, which is less than 1 ml per kg per hour over 6 hours, beyond 48 hours, then we have to give extra fluid. There is also, we will discuss that. Signs of the overhydration, we have to check for that also, like puffiness of the eyelids, excessive weight gain, and respiratory distress. Use the birth weight for all the calculations until the baby's birth weight has been achieved. If the daily weight loss is more than 5%, then what we have to do, we have to increase the total volume by 10 ml per kg per body weight, 10 ml per kg, right? For 1 day, and then we have to reassess. If there is no weight loss or there is weight gain in the initial 3 days of the life, then we do not have to do that daily increment. But however, if there is excessive weight gain, there is of 3 to 5%, decrease the fluid intake by 15 to 20 ml per kg per day. If there is oliguria and weight loss, we have to increase the daily fluid intake by 10 to 20 ml per kg. But if there is oliguria with weight gain, then we have to decrease the fluid volume by 10 ml per kg. Fine. In case of acute kidney injury, we have to replace the insensible losses, that is 25 ml per kg in the term babies and 50 ml per kg in the preterm babies. So what is happening in AKI? No, the kidneys cannot excrete the water, so we are restricting the fluids. But if we give no fluid at all, the baby would still lose water through the skin and through the lungs, and which will lead to dehydration and hypernatremia. So we have to give some fluid, which is insensible loss, and this comes out to be uh, term babies it is 25 ml per kg, and preterm it is 50 ml per kg. Now, why there is more insensible loss in 50 ml per kg? There are various reasons for in preterm. There are various reasons that the skin is more permeable in preterm. Also, the preterm have a extension posture allowing more heat loss, and the term babies have a flexion posture. Okay, and this insensible loss in case of acute kidney injury is done by electrolyte free 10% dextrose solution, and the urine output is uh, half normal saline. Okay, whatever is the urine output, we have to replace that as by 0.5 ns. And during fluid restriction, glucose infusion rates should not be below 4 mg per kg per minute to avoid the hypoglycemia. Fine. And we also read about the gastric aspirate thing in detail. In gastric aspirate, we have to replace by half ns, that is 0.45% ns, and if there is bilious aspirate, then by rl or ns. Fluids for dehydration, the fluid used for deficit correction is half ns. Half of the deficit is corrected over 8 hours and the remaining half over 16 hours. And if there is severe dehydration secondary to diarrhea, it should be corrected as per the plan C. Potassium requirement, we also saw it is 2 milliequivalents per kg per day is added to the IV fluids after the urine flow established, and 1 ml of the IV 1 ml of the IV KCl contains about 2 milliequivalents of the potassium, so 1 ml needs to be added in the 100 ml of the IV fluids. Now, adjusting the IV fluids, we have to initiate the oral feeding as soon as the baby's clinical condition improve. And if the baby is tolerating cup or tube feeds, increase the volume of the feeds by 20 to 40 ml per kg every day. And if the baby is very low birth weight, then we have to use the lower limit. So enteral feeding, no, we have to increase the volume of the feeds by 20 to 40 ml per kg per day, and we have to decrease the IV fluid volume to maintain the total fluid volume. That was what we were doing in this. So we started on day one. We started as 30 ml per kg, and every day we are increasing it. See, on the second day it was 60 ml per kg. So we are increasing every day 30 ml per kg. The fluid is being total enteral feeds are being increased. Now the next day from 60 it is 100 ml per kg. The range is 20 to 40 needs to be increased every day, right? And on the fourth day it is 125 ml per kg, whatever the baby can take. Fine. And in the total enteral feeds, we can use these: express breast milk, donor milk, or the available preterm formula. So this was all about the fluid management in a neonate. Thank you.